Ladies and gentlemen, it's happened. Pitchers and catchers have reported, and that means it is officially baseball season. In the name of all things good, the day we've been waiting for has officially come. And in the honor of pitchers and catchers, we're going to be going over some of the best and most entertaining Padres to ever put on a Padres uniform in the history. Today we're going to be talking about none other than, he's loose, ladies and gentlemen. The goose is officially loose. We're letting him out the cage. Goose Gossage is going to be our first video. Now, in recent years, Goose Gossage has become literally Grandpa Simpson shaking his head at the clouds, mad at nothing, says he doesn't watch baseball anymore, not welcome at Yankee Stadium. He's had a couple of hot takes off of the field, but we're not going to be talking about any of that stuff. We're going to be talking about how inevitably he was the one that helped us get to the 1984 World Series, but he took it away from us at the same time. You may be thinking, out of all the Padres you could have done, why Goose? Well, Goose actually has a pretty special place in my heart. My grandpa, who was the one who introduced me to Padres baseball and just baseball in general, he's very much from the era of Raleigh Fingers, Goose Gossage, Dave Winfield, Randy Jones, 80s baseball, hardball, the Stash of Doom era. And so, why not start off with this one?
So before we get to the main story, I feel like there's some background that we have to hit first, so let's just get that out of the way. Goose was born July 5th, 1951 in Colorado Springs. He pitched for 22 years with 9 teams, and many people regard his time with the Yanks and the Padres as his prime. He grew up in a really competitive environment, pitching with his older brother of 17 years, and since he wanted to play with his brother's friends, he had to be really competitive and sometimes throw his arm out from trying to pitch so hard. That hyper-competitive edge gave him an advantage when he was competing against people. He said later, after he retired, that the thing he missed the most was the competition, and his favorite coaches were the hardest on him, and that will come back later in the story. The competitive edge paid off when he debuted with the Chicago White Sox in 1972 and played 5 years for them. He later played 1 with Pittsburgh and 6 with the Yankees, winning back-to-back titles in the Bronx Zoo in 77 and 78. Including throwing the last pitch in the 77 World Series. Now this is actually my favorite part of this whole video. Ah yes, Dodger tears. Isn't it great? Both of the World Series that the Yankees won were actually against the Dodgers in 77 and 78. It's a fun fact for you. But we're going to fast forward this story to the year 1983 in sunny San Diego, California. Ah yes, San Diego, America's finest city, where in 1983 nothing was really happening. The last local cannery had just closed in San Diego, meaning that a lot of San Diegans needed to be retrained in an industry that was a part of the city since its birth. The San Diego Clippers were in the act of moving to Los Angeles after repeated reports from this guy, who is definitely off a Quaalude, saying that they would stay. The San Diego Chargers had just locked down the 1988 Super Bowl for the city of San Diego, then immediately sold the team to the Spanos family. The Padres had just went 500, finishing 81 and 81. That landed them 4th in the NL West, and Bruce Bochy was our catcher, which is relevant because pitchers and catchers. Alright, this is where this story starts to take off. Now the owner of the San Diego Padres, Ray Kroc, yeah, you heard that right, Ray Kroc, the owner of McDonald's, also owned the Padres. He was getting very sick, and one of his dying wishes was to bring San Diego a winner. So he heavily relied on Jack McKeon, the general manager he had signed a few years earlier, to do the job. Now Jack, in his first year as general manager, rebuilt the Padres, earning him the name Trader Jack. His first move was an 11-player trade for Terry Kennedy from the St. Louis Cardinals. And the very next move, he would trade away future Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith, who was also one of the most beloved Padres of all time. Over the next few years, he would reaffirm that nickname by signing people like Gary Templeton, Steve Garvey, and Greg Nettles, and drafting players like future Hall of Famer and dual sports athlete Tony Gwynn, Alan Wiggins, and Kevin McReynolds, which really became the core of that 1984 World Series squad. So, let's set the setting. We're in the hospital. Ray Kroc is on his deathbed essentially, and Ballard Smith, the president of the club, and Trader Jack go to meet him to discuss some finances at the time of the team. One of the things they went to go talk about was a potential Goose Gossage signing. So Ballard Smith goes and says, yeah, I don't know if we're going to have the finances, blah, 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 blah. Not really trying to sign him. And Ray turns to Jack And he says, "Well, Jack, what do you think?" And Jack says, "If we get him, we win the pennant." So, 1 week before the death of Ray Kroc, Goose Gossage became a Padre, and he was actually signed with his New York Yankee teammate Greg Nettles, in what would be the last move ever made by Ray Kroc. Many Padres historians widely regard the signing of Goose Gossage as the final piece that the Padres needed to get them over the hump in the '84 season. But we'll find out that it was a double-edged sword. Now yes, Goose was absolutely disgusting during the '84 season, and he was even better for the clubhouse. When you have young, malleable minds like the young future Hall of Famer Tony Gwynn, and you surround them with championship swagger like Greg Nettles and Goose Gossage, you can only get positive outcomes. It kind of reminds you of what the 2021 Padres are doing, surrounding their young superstars like Tatis, Ha-Seong Kim, and Jake Cronenworth with the likes of Manny Machado, Eric Hosmer, Blake Snell, and Yu Darvish. And that brings us to the main event, the 1984 World Series, Game 5. Dick Williams gives Terry Kennedy the 4, meaning intentionally walk, and Goose shakes him off. Terry Kennedy calls a mound visit and points and says, "Hey man, this ain't me, this is the coach's doing." Kirk Gibson, he's gone 2 for 3. He has a piss rocket and a single, and yeah, Dick Williams is not trying to take that chance. Goose is being stubborn though. He's refusing to give in. So eventually what has to happen is Dick Williams has to come out and talk to Goose himself. As you can see, the Padres are losing in the bottom of the 8th. 2 men on. First base is open. Now Goose, right here, Goose is saying, "I got him. I got history against him." You see Terry Kennedy, Greg Nettles, Alan Wiggins. They're all there. They're all talking to him. He says, "I got it, guys. This is me. Trust me. I can do this." So what happens is Dick Williams, in a very passive move, lets him pitch to him. Now this is the 80s, alright? Whatever your coach says goes during this time. There's no room for discussion. So Dick Williams was actually criticized for this heavily. He was criticized for this decision. And you'll see why in a little bit. First pitch, Goose throws one in the dirt. Nothing. Don't really know what that pitch was for. But here's where it starts to get interesting. Goose throws him a high inside fastball, and bingo bango. A nuke to the second deck. 3-run home run. Series is basically over at this point. Call it a wrap. Kirk Gibson, some of the most amazing home runs in World Series history. Goose is sad. Padres sad. It is officially Sad Diego. And this is a decision that would haunt Goose for the rest of his life, essentially. Even at his Hall of Fame induction ceremony, he points to Dick Williams and says, "I should have listened to you. I should have walked Kirk Gibson, damn it."
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The 1984 season and Goose Gossage all summed up into one video. The Padres didn't make the World Series until 1998 after that, and got spanked by the New York Yankees. But hopefully that changes in the year 2021. I'd be so happy if you came along for the ride. If you have any recommendations for any Padres past or present that you may want to see in one of these videos, leave it in the comments section, and I'll see you next time.